Hello everyone, hope you are doing good. So in our PKI series, today we are going to learn what is meant by CRL, that is Certificate Revocation List, and why it is important while we are considering the PKI. Okay, so let's start with it. Okay, so now the definition of the CRL. Okay, so I'll just get a pointer. Okay, so CRL, that is Certificate Revocation List, is a list of the certificate serial numbers that have been revoked by the CA. CA, that means Certificate Authority. So okay. So whenever we are issuing a certificate and it is no longer needed for us, any reason, there may be any reason that we have discontinued that site, that application, something is compromised, any reason, and we want to make sure that this certificate cannot be used anymore. So we will revoke that certificate. That is called as revocation. So when we revoke that certificate from the CA, it will get added to the list which is published by the CA, that is called as certificate revocation list. That list will contain all the certificate serial numbers which are revoked by the CA. Okay, so the CA periodically issues a self-signed data structure called as certificate revocation list, and CA made this freely available at a public distribution point. So what does this mean? So whenever you are accessing any site, you can uh, access the certificate revocation list as well, which is issued by the CA, from which the certificate for that site is issued. Okay, so what does this what it mean that if I'm accessing something dot google.com, suppose I'm accessing google.com site, so whenever you are going to check the certificate of that site, and in the details, if you go and navigate to the details of that certificate, you can find some distribution points. Those are CRL distribution points where you will find the list, entire list of the certificates which are revoked by that certificate authority. Okay, so that is a CRL, certificate revocation list, and this makes sure that the certificate which should not be used or which is revoked by the certificate authority should not be used again for any purposes. If it is getting used, that means there is a compromise. Okay. Now, how it goes is the client or the site, it will check the serial number from the certificate against the serial number within the list. So what does this mean? Okay, I'll just explain it bit details. So if I'm accessing site abc.com and it is issued by some CA1, suppose we'll just say CA1. Okay. Now what what will be checked is the certificate which is securing my abc.com site. It will be having a serial number. That serial number will be checked in the CRL file of that CA. That CRL file can be obtained from the site itself. So when we go to a certificate details, any certificate details, we will get access to the CRL file. So in that CRL file, it will be checked if the certificate which we are using, serial number of that certificate is present or not. If that is present, that means the certificate is revoked and the site cannot be accessed. And if it is not there, that means yes, we have our certificate is not revoked, certificate is good, and that checkpoint will be marked as green, or it will be it the check that check will be passed. Okay, so that is the CRL, and that's how it works. So whenever you are accessing any site or any application, every time this happens, but it happens at backend, so will not get uh, it is not visible for us. We will not be having any visibility over that, on what is happening at the back end and how the checks are getting done for this certificate. Okay, so just remember the certificate serial number which is securing the site that we are trying to access. That serial number will be cross-checked in the CRL file of that issuer, so that we can verify if the site has legitimate certificate or not. Okay, now let's go to next slide. So what is the CRL? So I just mentioned what is the CRL and all. Okay, so the listing includes the serial number of the certificate, the date of the certificate that was revoked, and the revocation reason. Okay, so now in the CRL, in the CRL file, we will be having the date as well. So I mentioned that serial number we will check, but along with that, it will be there will be date mentioned as well. To when that certificate was revoked, that date will be there, and also the revocation reason. What is the revocation reason? We will see in the coming slides. But for now, remember that these details will be available. Okay, for the in the CRL file. Okay. Now the CRL has limited validity period, and updated versions of CRL are published when the previous validity expires. Now, what does this mean? So, suppose some CRL is uh, published today. So, I got a CRL file today, or the new CRL file is placed at that location today. And when I'm accessing and accessing the site, I can see the certificate is good and all. Okay, but now tomorrow, if you consider tomorrow, the certificate is revoked. Okay, now that check will happen again tomorrow. Again tomorrow as well, the certificate, the CRL file will be downloaded. Okay, and in that again, it will check if the certificate is valid or not, and the serial number will be there because the certificate is revoked. Okay, so now what happened is the previous CRL file which was there, it was replaced by new one which had the updated details. Okay, so now the validities and all when it is published and all, I'll go on that as well. But for now, remember, so whenever the new CRL is published, the older CRL one will be removed from that place, and new CRL will be placed, and the new CRL will contain all the details which were there in old plus the new ones. Okay. Now, how that file will be, like what will be the extensions, that will be anything, HTTP, LDAP file, URLs, anything. So uh, these will be just the formats, extension formats for the CRL files. Okay. Now, what are the types of CRLs? So there are basically two types of CRLs. Okay, first one is base CRL, second one is delta CRL. Okay, so now what is the base CRL? Okay, so it confirms the status of all the certificates that have been issued by a CA. Okay, but it will contain the list from past week or two. So here I have mentioned it as 7 days, but consider it as 7 or 15 days. Let's consider 7 days window only. So it will contain the list of the certificates which are getting revoked after every 7 days. So I'll go in another way. So I have this base CRL file. It will get published after every 7 days. Okay, so whatever certificates which are revoked in between that 7 days period, those will not be added continuously, but those will be added at the end of the 7th day when the new CRL will be published after 7 days. In that, all the certificates which were present or which were revoked will be added in that. Okay, and the file extension for this CRL is .crl. Okay, .crl, that will be the file extension. And then we have delta CRLs. So delta CRLs will contain the certificates which have changed status since the issuance of last base CRL. And the default validity, it is a default validity. It's not mandatory to use this validity for both base and delta CRLs, but this is the default validity, and that is 1 day. And the file extensions will be CRL plus. Okay, now I will go in deep for base and delta CRLs. Okay, now what will be the fields that will be included in the CRL? So the CRL file will be having the version, the issuer, effective date, next update, CRL entries, and in the CRL entries we will find all the details which I mentioned. That serial number of the certificate will be there, revocation date will be there, extensions will be there, CRL reason code will be there, and hold instructions code will be there. Okay, now I'll go on what is the how it works. Okay, so this I will explain in another file. Okay, so consider we have CRL file here. Okay, and it is having some certificates. Okay, so this is consider this as base CRL, base CRL. and it is valid for 7 days. And after 7 days, we will be having this base CRL. Okay, the CRL again. So now, if this is containing the N certificates, and in between 7 days of period, here 7 days passed, and in between we have revoked some certificates. Suppose we have revoked some N plus 10 certificates, something like that. So now those all 10 certificates, those will be here in the new base CRL, which will be published after a week, and it will have all those N plus 10 certificates. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is the base CRL which was having N certificates, and in between the window of 7 days, 10 more certificates were revoked. Then those 10 more certificates will be added into new base CRL, and that will be published. Okay, this is how base CRL works. It is published on some specific interval, like 7 days or 15 days. 15 days is new normal now. The base CRL will be 15 days most probably, but this is the standard timing for this base CRL as is 7 days. Okay, so this the advantage is all the we don't have to download the files every day. When the CRS are getting published once a week, we are downloading this file to get a new CRL file. Now, what I'm trying to say by downloading is whenever you are accessing a site, this will be cached. Whenever you are accessing the site for the first time, your CRL will get cached in your browser, and for the next week you are accessing when you are accessing the site, it will not be causing any delays. Okay, because whenever you are trying to access the site for the first time, when you have the new CRL published, it will take bit more time to get this file downloaded and everything. Okay, but once you download it, it will be cached in your browser, and then you don't have to download it for the next 7 days or 15 days. So this is the advantage of the base CRL, that it will it will it will be there in your browser. But the disadvantage is if I have some critical certificates present here, and those are revoked. Suppose once this CRL is published, but on this next day I revoked one certificate. So for the next 6 days, that certificate will be still in the working condition, and it will not get revoked, or the security check will not fail because it is not added in the new base CRL. Okay, it will be uh, added after the 7 days, because our CRL will be published after 7 days. So in this case, the delta CRL will come in picture. Okay, so what delta CRL is? So after after publishing our base CRL, whatever certificates are revoked, those will be there in the delta CRL. Suppose this certificate, as I said, this was revoked, so only this certificate will be present here. Not all previous ones will be here. Here, just this certificate will be there. Again, if after 2 days there is another one more certificate is revoked, that certificate will be also get added here. Okay, so now, as we said, 10 were newly revoked certificates. So after 7th day, this delta CRI will be containing all the 10 certificates, and after week, when the new base CRL is going to be published, those 10 will be added to the base CRL again, and our delta CRL will again go to 0. It will start. It will start from 0 again, and again it will go and check after publishing the base CRL if there is any certificate. If yes, add it. If no, then there is 0, there is nothing. Then again, whatever certs are revoked certs are collected there in delta CRL, that will get added to the base CRL, and again the delta CRL will get to 0. Okay, so just the problem here will be that every time this new certificate is added, this file will be downloaded whenever you are accessing the site, when we are using the delta CRLs. Okay, so that is not good in some cases of in the latency cases and all. So uh, until and unless we have a critical system, we don't really use data CRLs. Okay, and now, yeah, and now what will be the advantage? So advantage is that whenever you are uh, revoking any certificate, that certificate will get immediately added to the delta CRLs, and when you are trying to access the site, the site the delta CRL check will be there, and it will check, yes, this is serial number is present in the delta CRL file, so the certificate is not legitimate, and that check will be failed, and we will not be able to access the site. Okay, so this is how the base CRL and delta CRL will work. Okay, now just go to the next part. So this is the same uh, diagram, or same representation which I have mentioned here. You can see. Okay, let me just grab a pen. Okay, so here you can see the base CRL is published here. Base CRL is published here, and now you can see only cert3 is added at T0. Then we have revoked some certificate. This the name they have given is cert5. So that cert5 is not added in the base CRL, but it will be there in the delta CRL. Okay. Then again we revoke something cert7. Then again it will be there. Both certificates will be there, and after end of the week, all the certificates will be present in here in the base CRL. Okay. So base CRL is present only after 7 days. It will be updated after 7 days, but delta CRL will be published every day, and it will check if any certificate is there or not. It will add that. It will add that, and then that will be sent to the base CRL. Okay. Now the next point which we checked was the CRL reason codes. Now, whenever you are revoking a certificate, you have to give a reason why you are revoking it. Okay. Until unless you are giving a reason, you cannot revoke a certificate, and the revocation is an irreversible process. So whenever you are reversing a sorry, whenever you are revoking something, it cannot be reversed. You cannot use that certificate again if it is revoked. Okay, so in the reasons, whenever you give reasons, you will be mentioning that if uh, it is a key compromise, it's CA compromise, if ownership is changed, if the new certificate is getting used instead of our current certificate, if the site is no longer active, or the application is no longer active, if the reason is unspecified, or it's removed from CRL. Okay, these all will be the reasons. Now you see here there is one more thing, a certificate hold. Okay, so what does this mean? What's that? Okay, so as I told, it is an irreversible process. So once the cert is revoked, we cannot use it. Okay, but there is option when you are revoking certificate. If you put the certificate revocation reason as certificate on hold, then your certificate will not be it revoked. Okay, it will be it will be revoked technically, but for the time being. Okay, so your revocation will be on hold. If I say that I don't want to use my site for next 6 months, okay, so I will revoke that certificate so that no one can use it right now, but I have to use it after 6 months. Okay, so I will put the certificate hold reason in the revocation while I am revoking the certificates. Okay, and I will it will be the time will be given, like we will give the time period when we are revoking the certificate, and after that time period that certificate will be active again. Okay, so this is the only reason you can use while revoking a certificate that will help you to use that certificate again. Okay, that will be the certificate hold. Whenever you use this certificate hold reason, you can use that certificate again. But any other options, if you have mentioned while revoking the certificate, you cannot use that certificate again, and you will have to order a new certificate. Okay, so what we checked, or what we went through today was CRL. What is the CRL? Why it is needed? So whenever a certificate is getting revoked, that means that certificate should no longer be used. Then it will be revoked from the certificate authority, and once revoked, the certificate will not be used. Okay, and that certificate is revoked or not, it will be checked in the CRL files. Okay, those CRL files are present in the certificate in the certificate as well. So the site which you are using, that site will have a certificate, and in that certificate you will find a CRL file where the list of the serial numbers will be mentioned of the certificates which are revoked by that CA, by that certificate authority. Okay. Then we saw the types of the CRLs. One will be the base. Sorry. One will be the base CRL. And other was the delta CRL. So base CRL, it publishes after interval of time like 7 days, 15 days, 7 days or 15 days, and it will get published only after 7 or 15 days until there is some manual intervention. So after 7 or 15 days, it will get published, and it will contain all this list, all the certificate serial numbers which were revoked in that time period. Contrary to that, the delta CRL will contain, or it is it will get published after every couple of hours or after a day, after every 24 hours it will get published, and it will contain only the certificate which were revoked after the base CRL was published. So my base CRL was published today, then this delta CRL will today, and this delta CRL will contain only certificates which are revoked after my base CRL was published today. So it will contain all those lists for next 7 days. It will contain all the list, and then those that list, suppose 10 certificates were revoked, then that list will get added to my next base CRL, which will replace my current base CRL, and our delta CRL will be empty again, and this process will go on. Okay, so this is the CRL. And once you revoke a certificate, you will not be able to use it again. It is irreversible process. It's an only omnidirectional process. And if you have to use that certificate again, you will have to put the revocation code as certificate hold. Certificate hold. Okay. Until and unless you do that, you will not be able to use a certificate again. So that's all about the CRL, and see you in next video. Thank you.